Thank you everyone for coming. Welcome. And today we're going to be talking about an undervalued role in the fishing industry. This is really good. It's like a motivational seminar, I guess, to get more women into fishing and even expanding into the fishing industry themselves. So let's get into it. So my name is Jenni Ackerman. I'm an angler. I've been fishing my whole life. Like I kind of went into the details already, where I grew up in Point Pleasant Beach. So you're going to become a fisherman or a surfer or something there. So that's the path I decided to take. And the more I fish, like the more interest I gain into a different species that like I want to target. Like I like looking into the marine biology of a species that I'm targeting and just want to learn more and figuring them out. And then that's a picture of me when I was little at the Manasquan Inlet with a giant fluke that I didn't catch it on that Barbie rod, but I did get to reel it in. So, and that's a really good spot still to this day. It's the monument. There's like a hole right at the monument. So yeah, you know, like I'm also, I write, I work for the Fisherman magazine, so I do a lot with them, but I take a lot of pride in what I write for the magazine. I don't really like doing like how-to articles. I like doing historical articles or informative articles. So I take a lot of pride in what I write, and you guys probably see my videos called the Open Boat video series. This seminar is actually going to be on there, and I take that as an outlet to teach people digitally through different fishing tactics that I do, or you just come fishing with me on a fishing trip, or if my trip gets canceled, you're going to see me in my garage talking about how to check your guides for like cracked guides or just different stuff like that. I'm also a graphic designer. I graduated from Monmouth University with my BFA in graphic and interactive design. Shout out, I graduated summa cum laude with a 4.0, so subtle flex. I use every aspect of my knowledge to influence it towards the fishing industry. So going back to those articles I wrote, I would do illustrations for those articles featured in the Fisherman magazine. I did an article about why I like using a bucktail off the surf for striped bass, and I did an illustration for that. And I also make really cool fishing stickers. And most importantly, every fisherman, I believe, should be like this: be a conservationist. If you're targeting a species, and my example, I love targeting blackfish, and it should be any species you target overall. If you care about that species, study the species overall as a whole, and be aware if you're keeping fish. Maybe don't keep your full limit. If the population is a little at risk, just keep what you eat. Like in my household, like my mom's in the front row, she'll agree with me on this. I'm the only one in my house that eats the fish. So I don't keep like a full limit of the fish I catch. So I want to keep, my main goal is to keep fishing for the species for years to come. So I'm very aware on any species that I target. This is a good little icebreaker where I'll interact with you guys once I'm done with this slide, talking about the appeal. Like, what got you into fishing? I kind of got into the details already about where I grew up, but I've always been fascinated with marine biology. Like as a little kid on the beach, I'd be picking up crabs, like touching dead fish that wash up. I remember there was one time I was on the beach with my cousins and we found $1 in a giant fish head. So that was really random, but really cool. Like I'm always near a body of water growing up. I'm always looking for little critters and stuff like that. And as I got older, I started working at Grumpy's Tackle, and that gave me the pleasure of teaching others how to fish. And it brought me joy when I had customers come in and I show them the ropes, for example, like fluke fishing in the summertime. I show them everything they need to go fluking. They go down to Island Beach, they fluke, and then a couple hours later, they come back in to weigh in their first fish. And they're thanking me for showing them everything on how to catch their first fish. So it's really like an uplifting experience. And the biggest thing is for fishing, like of course you have like tournament fishing and stuff, so that's like different, but I don't see fishing as a competition. Like for me, fishing is like a big stress reliever, and I tell people, I say this at all my seminars, and like people kind of get scared, but like if I didn't have fishing, I would probably be on like America's Most Wanted. But for me, it's a big stress reliever, and it's a huge learning experience, not just for you, but for the people around you, because you can take that as like, you can have your time of solitude fishing, but if you see someone like around you that needs help, like I'll take that time to help them. So that's what got me into fishing. And then just real quick, if you guys want to shout out like what got you into fishing.
Okay. I mean, I see so much of myself in you. Our stories are so parallel. Like, I grew up in the same thing on like the back bays of the marshes on Island Beach, exploring the jetty, the same thing, like picking up all these different things. I bring my kids to do the same thing. And I grew up fishing with my dad and my parents, like, you know, my family, everything. And then as I got older, like in my college years, I kind of like just didn't do it anymore because then I was super into fitness. But I have my son now. He's 3 and he is like obsessed with fishing, and he has like reignited the family like flame to fish.
Oh, good.
It's like all we think about all day long is my son fishes like inside my house. So yeah, also just like a huge part of my life.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really awesome. Anyone else want to shout it out? Don't be shy. Go ahead.
I started working, I grew up by the water too.
Yeah.
I love just being outside, but I started working at a day camp. It was lake, and they had fishing as an activity. And so I just fell in love with it. And then when I became a counselor there, you could choose what activity you would like man for sessions. And I would man the fishing station. Same thing, like loved helping the kids when they catch a fish. And ever since then, that's it. Like, I love it. It's kind of a stress reliever for me.
Yeah.
Like, to get out by the ocean for me is like the best sound. You're just kind of in your zone. And shout out to you. I did come into Grumpy's, I think 2 years ago. You helped me with my fluke rig.
Yes.
And same thing that day
Yep.
out there, and I got my first fluke. It wasn't
Yeah,
for,
I remember.
so excited about it that
No, I remember.
again, it's just like a really great thing. Like, the community comes together. I met so many people on Island Beach that it's
Good.
a really great experience for me.
Yeah, no, that's really a good takeaway. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else want to say what got you into fishing?
Well, I grew up, my grandparents had a big tackle store here
Okay.
in the 50s. So I grew up in it since I was little. That's what I remember. And I was watching you, and I was so proud of you saying, and my joy is to teach people, because that was my father and my grandfather. They were instrumental in starting the saltwater fly fishing.
Okay.
The East Coast here, along with Fred Schreier and other people, Lefty Cray, blah, blah. He started later, though. He was a freshwater fisherman. Anyway, so yes, my grandsons are into it. My granddaughter also, Lorelei, she's got a competitive edge like her grandmother, so I gotta get like my head back into it. So I wanted to see what else, new techniques and other things. So I said, my daughter said, let's go to this. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna.
That's basically it. And growing up, and conservation is one of my passions too, as well. And I'm glad to see that continues.
As it should. Yeah, I'm really big on that.
Yes.
So is it just a hobby? This part, I'm going to get into the fishing industry because I kind of covered a couple different ranges within the industry. I didn't go into the commercial fishery. If I was, I would be probably on a boat like smoking cigarettes, chain smoking, but I didn't get into that, thank God. But growth in the industry, like I started out in a tackle shop and now I work for a publication in fishing. So the range goes on. There's 70,000 people employed in the fishing industry in the U.S. alone, and I feel like majority of them are in the co-op of Point Pleasant Beach or in Alaska somewhere. And there's many facets to the fishing industry. Like I said, it doesn't have to be commercial fishing. For example, we'll take commercial fishing. You see the people on the boats bringing in the drag nets with all the fish, but then they bring it to the co-op. They process the fish. They send invoices out to the markets that request those fish. They send the fish themselves to the markets. So you have people calling in. So there's so many different levels within the fishing industry of jobs that you can get into. From working to a tackle shop to a publication, you have a million different jobs you can do. And of course, like if you didn't want to, like for me, when I was at school, I always wanted to take fishing and turn it into a career. You don't have to. You can just do it as a hobby. There's a ton of fun where you can just fish recreationally and make it like your favorite pastime, and like what you guys said, passing it down for like your children and your grandkids. That's important. It's better than having them growing up playing video games on a couch. Like being outside and doing all that is so much better than being a couch potato. And this is a big thing that I noticed when I started fishing. It's the male-dominated sport. Like, you're gonna be outnumbered. There's plenty of times where, like, in like the fall run, for example, I'm on a beach and like it's all guys. There's no other women on the beach. You might see one other woman on the beach and like, you're like, oh my God, what can you do? That can be scary sometimes for like a woman that's just getting into the fishing industry, like just, or the fishing game itself. You walk onto a beach and you have nowhere to like really like fit in, not just like, because it's all dudes, it's a lineup of dudes. So you have to like weasel your way into a spot just to cast. So it's like overcoming that fear of being that one girl in a situation can make you so much more comfortable to do like a ton of different things. I always say like, you have your garden, and if you have weeds in your garden, you need to like get rid of them. So there's been times like before I graduated, there's been times where I've had guys, like I call them like weeds in my garden, tell me like, you're never going to be anything in the fishing industry. You're never going to be able to fish by yourself. And I've had that, and like I've literally, like, major red flag right there. If you have someone saying that to you, like, cut them off. That's no good. I've literally gone to excel in points where I prove them wrong. If you have anyone tell you that, if you want to get into fishing and you have someone telling you no, red flag, you're done. And it's funny because I've proven them wrong, and I've gone on to literally travel and catch fish and make new connections through my job and just learn so much more. And it's funny because those weeds that you have in your life are literally, like, for me, they're sitting at home being miserable, watching me on TV, seeing me prove them wrong. So if you ever have that with overcoming that situation, prove them wrong. That's like the one thing. Confidence is such a major key when you're getting into a new sport that you may not be comfortable doing. And this is really interesting too. A lot of you guys, for saying what got you into fishing, your connection with like the water. And women find the most confident, patient, and resilient versions of themselves on the water. This is a really cool study. Research supports that half of female anglers say that fishing teaches them patience, and 1 in 3 say fishing teaches them how to be still and to concentrate. So those are really important points, and like kind of keys in with how I say fishing for me is a stress reliever, because whether you're fly fishing on a trout stream somewhere, you're fishing on a boat for tuna, you're fishing off the surf, you're in the back bay, like fishing a pond, anywhere, you can like really focus on yourself and focus on like the fishing at hand and just really calm down, and it just mellows you out. It's really a great feeling. And then within the industry, for me, standing out as a solo female can be like a better influence on women. And that's why I'm here tonight, because I'm, practice what you preach. I'm here to tell you guys to not be afraid and just go out there and fish. And it's unfortunate, like I see it day to day, not just like in any job, you kind of have to overcome that norm women face in any workplace. And the biggest thing I can say is perseverance and self-preservation are always the key to success. And of course, confidence. If you're confident in something, like you can do anything. And that's what I learned being in the fishing industry. You got to have thick skin and confidence to get through fishing like the toughest of situations. And then we're going to talk about women in the industry and the history of women with fishing. So going back to like the indigenous era, women have been the primary harvesters of seafood, and they've used methods passed down through generations for catching these fish. And they played a key role in providing food for their families in the community. So hello, like women have been fishing for a long time, so there's no reason you guys shouldn't be fishing. And although men are typically seen on the commercial fishing vessels, women fill 90% of those land-based jobs at fisheries, including marketing products, managing harvest farms, and working at the plants. So they play a major role. And women, it sucks because with how many prominent women have been in the industry, we still face exclusion in the industry due to it being seen as a male-dominated profession. But regardless, we push through it. That's what we've been doing like forever. So we got to just keep pushing through it to move on. And I'm going to talk about some of those women today in the fishing industry that have really, the proof is in the pudding, starting off with Francesca Lamonti. She is an IGFA founding member. She is a pioneer in marine research, and one of the first women to be inducted into the International Game Fish Association's Hall of Fame. So she spent most of her career impacting conservation by teaching others the importance of maintaining healthy habitats and preserving bodies of water so species could thrive for generations. And not only was she a founder of the IGFA, but she later became the association's first secretary, serving for 39 years, and her contributions earned her an induction into the Hall of Fame in 1988. And then we have Joan Savato Wolf, and she's actually from New Jersey. She would grow up fly fishing with her father, and she went to win not only local but national club casting competitions, and she was featured on the American Magazine and the cover of the Pennsylvania Angler. And she did a lot. She helped founded a ton of different museums, like the Catskill Fly Fishing Center and Museum. She holds the International Women's Fishing Association Club records for Atlantic salmon and brook trout. She's a trustee to the Atlantic Salmon Federation and the IGFA, a senior advisor with the Federation of Fly Fishers, and has had multiple television appearances and received more than 22 honors and awards. So she's really done a lot, and she's even honored in 1998 when a group of avid anglers from New Jersey named her club the Joan Wolf Fishing Club. And then we have Helen Sevier. She was a Bassmaster trailblazer. She worked her way up from a direct marketing expert to the president and CEO of Bass LLC. And what she did there when she was CEO is she expanded its media component to include 7 full-color magazines such as Bassmaster, Guns and Gears, Fishing Tackle Retailer, Bass Fishing Techniques, the Bassmaster Tour, and Casting Kids Magazine and Bass Times. And she even introduced the idea to create a television series, which y'all are probably familiar of, called The Bassmasters, which focused on the Bassmaster Tournament Trail. So those are all like big ladies in the fishing industry, and they're not just out there nitty-gritty fishing, but they're putting their work into the fishing industry overall. And some statistics, 19.8 million women went fishing in 2023, which is a 40% increase over the past decade and an 8% increase since 2019. 3.8 million more women went fishing than a decade prior. In 2011, 2.7 million more female anglers fished than 5 years prior, and 4.2 million more than in 2011. 2023, 31% of fly fishing participants in the United States were women. And those numbers continue to grow. Hopefully after this seminar it does too. The economic impact, we're getting into the money, the fun part. A 10% increase in female participation would provide an additional $1 billion in revenue for the sport fishing industry. This means additional female participant is worth nearly $1,000 in annual revenue for the industry. Despite this strong female angler representation, saltwater fishing has emerged as a driving force behind the financial stimulus female anglers bring to the industry. So saltwater is the big one there. And in 2021, female saltwater anglers spent more per capita than female freshwater anglers. And then 70 to 80% of consumer spending decisions are made by women. So we hold the wallets there. We bring home the bacon.
Got that one right.
So now that I went through some nice motivational parts of how women are a part of the fishing industry, the biggest thing is, where do I start? I don't know, just to raise the hands. I mean, you guys said you've been fishing. Who hasn't even fished yet? Yeah, okay, good, welcome. So you haven't started fishing yet. The biggest thing is, don't be afraid to ask questions. Go to your local tackle shop, talk to those guys. Do not be afraid to talk to guys at tackle shops, because they're there to help you get on fish. That's their job. They're getting paid to show you the ropes. That's what I did at Grumpy's. I was motivated to help people get on fish. That's my job. Even with the Fisherman magazine, that's my job. That's my overall goal. I want to get people on fish. And the biggest thing, in the off season, if you want to learn more, I love reading books. So I'll read a book in a day. So if you have time to read books, there's a ton of really good books, from striped bass fishing to going into fly fishing techniques. There's a whole range of books for specific subjects you want to look into. So read a book. You can also watch videos. You can watch my open boat videos. I have a ton of them on different stuff. You can watch knot tying videos, like different videos on how certain lures work in certain depths and stuff like that. Or you can just talk to me. If you're not confident enough to go into a tackle shop just yet and talk to like one of those guys, because some of them are kind of scary. I'm just kidding, he's harmless. But my email is out there. You can talk to me. If you see me like fishing or just out in public, I literally had a person come up to me the other day at Costco asking me where the fish were biting. And I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to buy water. But if you could just talk to me, I'm very like open and I'm fine with talking to people about anything fishing. Like I said, my email's out there. You see me fishing, talk to me, anything like that. And the biggest thing, like I said, be confident and take courage. And every piece of advice you get, it'll build you into like one of the saltiest anglers out fishing everyone else. That's what I love, out fishing people. Like that's the best thing, especially when you're on a boat like with all dudes and you out fish them. That's like the biggest flex you can do. Women have a place, of course, in any aspect of fishing, whether you aspire to become a Bassmaster champion, a writer for a fishing publication, or even a designer for commercial fishing gear, or you just want to hop on a party boat and win the pool, you have a place. I always say, like, since this is a male-dominated industry, I always say, I feel like it's a song from like the 50s or something, but it's like anything you can do, I can do better. That's kind of like the mindset you got to have, especially if there's like competitive like guys that are like trying to like not like snuff you out from fishing. Just know, like, if you have the confidence to do it, you can do it. And fishing is everyone's sport. It's not a men's sport. It's not like it's only for guys. It's not like it's football and you're trying to play on the football team. It's both men and women. It's all inclusive fishing. It's, you know, it's there for everyone. And the biggest thing I say is like, I'm out here doing it. Like, I go out and I fish all the time, or if the weather permits me, I will go out there and I fish with guys. Like, I'm not afraid to fish around like salty dudes. They usually don't bother me. I always mean mug people anyway, so I don't get bothered, but just go out there and just do it. And if you have an interest in getting more into the fishing industry, just learn. Because if you have the drive to do something and get something done, like, just do it. Don't let anyone stop you. I literally don't let anyone stop me. I've had people try to like shut me down in the past, telling me like I'll never be anything. Like I said before, nothing in the industry. Look at me now. Like, I'm out here doing seminars and teaching you guys to just go out there and do it. So you put your time in, you work hard, you don't let anyone discourage you, and you'll get on some fish. And the more you know, you can really build yourself a big portfolio when it comes to the fishing industry. It's not just catching a fish and posting a picture online. You can get into lure building if you have the time for it. Rod building, like Liz here, she's building rods now at Grumpy's. It's fun. It's rewarding too when you catch a fish on a rod you built. Fly tying, you can tie sand eel teasers for the fall run when we have sand eel bites for the stripers. And you can even be like a fishing illustrator. Like I said, like, that's just me saying I make cool fishing stickers. Fishing illustrator. I was like, how do I title this? But you can do even more. Like, if you wanted to get into like marine biology, you can be someone for like those books that illustrates all the fish and stuff in it. That is that. Thank you guys for attending, and hopefully it sheds some more light on why women should be in fishing and be more involved in the industry, and to get you guys fishing. So hopefully this spring run, I mean, right now we have nothing really going on, but the spring run fishing off the beach, if you want to get into it, hopefully it's a good clam bite. So maybe we can all go fishing off the beach if they show up. So we'll coordinate that. But thank you guys. If you have any questions or want to chit chat, just come up and see me. I don't bite. I'm nice. So thank you.